All right, guys, back to work tonight. Hope you guys had a fantastic day. Hope you made some money on that beautiful fake out breakout at the low today. Who could have ever seen that coming, right? Well, as I always say, we're only as good as our next trade. So it's back to work tonight, Wednesday evening, getting ready for Thursday's trading session. Boy, we get some big moves on these charts today. That means some big opportunities coming for tomorrow. I got a bunch of great trades setting up for Thursday. I'm going to cover all my favorite trades in tonight's video that we get a game plan to make some money tomorrow. Before we jump in though and get this party going tonight, want to make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. I don't want you to miss tomorrow night's video upload. And as always, if you guys enjoyed the content tonight, hit that like button for me. Appreciate you guys supporting this YouTube channel. But enough of the intro, right? Where's the money to make on Thursday? Thursday is not going to trade itself, right? Boy, we saw some nice big moves here today. That beautiful fake out, breakout, head fake at the low there. Got everything bullish in the Nasdaq. Nasdaq in the S&P, of course, are very, very bullish right now. Got some really nice, strong, big moves going higher. Anytime we see a big move in one direction, we have so many ways to make money the following day. Looking for pullbacks, obviously, right? Looking for pullbacks. And remember, this is an overall bear market right now. This is a long-term bear market. So pullbacks are definitely on my radar. But don't you worry. We got some great reversal patterns setting up here for tomorrow as well. I'm going to cover the long side for sure. But also, too, I will not hesitate for the short side trades. We'll talk about my favorite reversal setups on the S&P and the Nasdaq here tonight. Oil also got clobbered today, almost $7 down. That strong dollar just running oil lower and lower as we go. We're very, very bearish on oil with a strong move down. There are three different types of trades I look for whenever I see a big move lower. Three different types of trades, and I'll also toss in some reversals if those buyers can manage to kind of claw their way back into this market on the crude oil. So there's no shortage of great trades to make some money on Thursday. Speaking of Thursday though, before we jump in and take a look at each individual chart tonight, be aware tomorrow is a Fed speaker day tomorrow. We do have probably the biggest news possibly of the week. We had the ISM number on Tuesday. That was a pretty big news report. Tomorrow we hear from El Jefe, right? We get Jerome Powell, Jay Powell, the head of the U.S. Fed here. We heard from the VP, right? Lael Brainerd, she spoke. She's the vice head or the vice chair, I guess they say, of the Fed today. And we're going to hear from the from the head of the Fed tomorrow, Jay Powell, tomorrow at 9:10 Eastern time. One thing you want to be aware of, remember, whenever the head of the Fed talks, markets tend to listen. So be aware markets may be a little bit slow, a little bit choppy until we get about a half an hour into what he's talking about. So as I always tell my students in our trade, remember, trading is like riding a bicycle. It's easier when it's moving. So if it's going slow, 9 o'clock, 9:20, 9:30, 9:40, wait for things to pick back up. We may see some of the best trades tomorrow in that 9:45 to 11:45 block tomorrow morning in our trade room. We do have the weekly inventory report if you're an oil trader like we are in our trade room. So keep an eye on that. That's usually on Wednesday mornings, but because Monday was a holiday, it was pushed back to Thursday at 11 o'clock Eastern time. So keep an eye on that if you are an oil trader. Remember, give it some time before and after that news comes out. Don't force trades on top of that news. Way too volatile, way too whippy. So two big news reports tomorrow. The big one is that Jerome Powell speech at 9:10. We'll trade the reaction a little bit later on in the morning. And then, of course, for oil traders, 11 o'clock Eastern time. Also be aware, too, if you're in Europe or trading in Asia overnight, we've got an ECB meeting coming out tomorrow morning. So likely before we get to our desks in the U.S. morning session, we'll likely be hearing headlines coming out of the ECB meeting. The ECB, of course, also has a very important energy meeting. We talked about stimulus packages in last night's video newsletter, so we definitely are listening in. Will we hear from the ECB to shake things up? Will we hear more about stimulus packages to offset the increased price of oil? Oh, and how can I forget, tomorrow should be rollover day on the E-minis. We're probably not going to have rollover tomorrow. I would expect the S&P and the Nasdaq to roll probably probably on Friday, but you will likely tomorrow when you get back to your desk, you'll likely get an email from your broker, or you'll see some pop-ups in your charts, right, about rollover on the NASDAQ, the S&P, and of course all the other E-mini markets. I don't think tomorrow, though, I don't think we'll be making that rollover to the 1222 contract, but probably come Thursday night, Friday morning. Just keep that on your radar as we go to the end of the week. Back to our charts, though. Get some big news here for tomorrow. The money, though, right? The money is on the charts here. Now, I'm going to go over each of these charts tonight. Make sure you watch all the way through this video here tonight, because you're going to learn something new throughout each of these lessons here tonight. I'll provide different trade ideas, different advanced tactics as we go deeper into this video. And I always sort of save the best stuff towards the end, so I'll give you a reason. Stick around all the way to the end. Let's go NASDAQ, S&P, and we'll wrap tonight on the black gold, the Texas T, the crude oil futures. Let's jump here into the NASDAQ first, the NQ or the micro NQ or the QQQs. This is a 4,000 tick chart here on the NASDAQ. You can always see all the specific time frames in the upper left-hand corner. Keep in mind, the NASDAQ and the S&P are very similar. So what applies to the NASDAQ can be used on the S&P and vice versa. So keep that on your radar. There are three key insights right now, really two key insights, and we talked about rollover here a few moments ago. Again, I don't expect tomorrow to be rollover, but be aware you're probably going to get some notices from brokers, from your data providers, right? Your charting software that rollover is coming, but it doesn't look like rollover is going to be happening tomorrow. It'll probably be on Friday. So keep that in mind. First of all, the bear bias, right? I talked about this in the introduction. We're very bullish right now, right? You probably don't need me to tell you that. We're very bullish in the short to medium term right now. But look at a daily chart, look at a 4-hour chart, look at a 60-minute chart, and you'll see we're overall very bearish in the longer term, or the kind of the larger medium term direction right now. Why is that important? Well, because this could be nothing more than a bull trap, right? This big move up could be ready to dump right back down again as more bears come in and sell above key levels of resistance, right? So we have to be aware this market is very bullish, but those bears, they're hibernating right now. They may come back to life here tomorrow. I'm going to talk about how to capitalize on a bearish reversal here tonight. Don't you worry about that. Next clue is possibly the most important clue on this chart, and then of course is that strong move higher. Big move, strong move. Anytime we see a real strong move in one direction, we expect to get a pullback and a retest, in this case, of that high. Once we get the retest of the high, then do we break out and go higher, or do we get that bearish reversal and dump back down again? We just saw that happen, right? We just saw that happen a few days ago where we had that strong move down, they retest, and they reverse, right? It's very, very common to have a very strong move, a pullback, a retest, and then a reversal or a breakout going higher from there. So we definitely do have the bulls on our radar. We're keeping an eye, though, here on those bears for that reversal. So now that we know that much, how do we make some money on this, right? Now that we know we're short-term bullish but long-term bearish, where's the money to make? There are three basic types of pullbacks I want to look for in this type of situation. One is a shallow pullback. Two is a modest pullback. The third one is a really deep pullback. And I will talk about the reversals on this. Let's talk about buying here right now on the NASDAQ, and then I'm going to flip it around and we'll talk about selling this as we go deeper into this video here tonight. The most important thing right now is it's a big move. It's a strong move. We have to think right now this might be a little bit too high for most buyers to want to buy high. So we have to get a relatively deep pullback. Here are three things I'm looking for here tomorrow. First one is a shallow pullback. When it comes to buying shallow pullbacks, my biggest challenge is getting a good risk reward ratio. What I have to do is I want to anticipate now, because we have this overall bear trend, I do want to anticipate bears coming in and trying to sell this market back down again. In an overall bear market, I anticipate bears coming in, and I'm going to use their stops as fuel with a trap setup. The first pullback opportunity for tomorrow is a 2-try trap, trapping in those bears, getting them to commit off that, right, off those shorts, and then buying into those stops for a retest of the high. Again, I'm going to talk about the short side here a little bit later on, so you better keep on watching. The next one here is a little bit easier. The next one, I want to get down towards this first buy zone, underneath that 12,208, 12,184 half. We have all of that bullish momentum. When we pull back here right now, I'm hoping we get some bears coming in and trying to get short. Now at this point, risk reward is not a big problem any longer because it's a deep enough pullback. Once those bears commit and sell off the moving average, now I know exactly where their stops are, and I can use those stops for a failure pattern into what I call a pullback combination. Failure into pullback. We trap in the bears as they try to sell short. Remember, it's an overall bear market. Bears come in, they try to sell off the moving average. We're literally buying right into their stop losses for an easy stop run. Get quick target, move a stop up, and then look for that next pullback. Now, keep in mind, that next pullback, we want to get into that before we go back up and retest the high. All right? I don't want that. I want that next pullback way up here. All right? So keep it in mind on your failure into pullback combination. And the third one is the one we really hope we get tomorrow. The third one is a really deep pullback. How deep? Deep enough when that little voice in your head starts saying, wow, this has been a reversal, right? Now we're bearish. So one of the things I always tell my students is whenever we see a really nice big move in one direction, we have to assume we're going to see a lot of buyers who are going to want a deeper pullback, right? Because they're going to want to buy at a lower, a better value, right, for their money, whereas opposed to a small move, we can see very shallow pullbacks because we're not overbought at that time. What we want to think about now is big move, deep pullback. Now, when you get that deep pullback, what's going to happen? The bears are going to come in and they're going to think this thing has reversed. And that's where the magic happens. We're going to let them try twice. Let them try once, let them try twice. Now, keep in mind, I want to see higher highs in price on this. Okay, higher highs. Why? Because sellers always want to sell high. So deep pullback, right? Possibly all the way down into that 12,143 area. Get those bears trying twice. Think about where their stops are, and we can light those stops up now with what we call a 2-try failure, right? So 2-try failure when the pullback is really deep. Now, keep in mind, too, these are oftentimes very explosive as they go higher. The follow-up trade on this is almost always going to be a trap setup right below that low. Does that make sense? Strong move up. I want to buy that pullback for a retest of that high. If it really shoots lower, I'm not going to try to pick the bottom down here. Let those bears dig their own grave, and then once they get stopped out, right, that's where it pops back up as those bears get stopped out of that trade. And then as it runs higher, we know where the market wants to go. We now look for those traps because, as I mentioned earlier, traps are going to get me in at the lowest possible price so I can get a good risk-reward ratio ahead of that retest of the high. As we pull back, those are the 3 different types of pullbacks I'm looking for. It was a shallow pullback trap, it was a modest pullback failure into pullback combo, and of course that deep pullback with that 2-try failure. Another question I want to answer too is what if we keep going higher? Right? What if the market keeps on grinding higher here? We have plenty of space to go higher. We've got more levels up top here at 12,404 in a quarter, 12,461, right? Get a lot of space here overhead. So what if we do keep on going higher, right? What if the market does continue going higher? Nothing changes. We still wait for, what was it again? We wait for that shallow pullback with a 2-try trap. We wait for a modest pullback, right? Get under the moving average with a failure pattern, right? Or we wait for a nice deep pullback. Deep pullbacks, how deep? Deep enough where that little voice in your head says, oh my goodness, this is a reversal. Right when you start thinking it's a reversal, that's when it's 1, 2-try failure, and then use those stops for a run back to the high, right? Traps, failures, two try failures, which reminds me, I know that most of you guys are trading these because you guys are emailing me all the time about making money with these setups. These are the same things we talk about in our free trading courses on our website. I know most of you guys have taken the free class already, but listen, if you haven't taken our free course yet, if you haven't learned the traps, the failures, the two tries, what I'll do is I'll put a link up here for you. That way you can learn all these setups and really start trading these and making money on your own. If you're one of the few folks who haven't taken it yet, grab that link in the upper right hand corner. If you're like me and you hate missing the best trades each day, if you're taking too many losses, the strategy that I teach in that free course on the website will get you into far more winners, help you avoid some easy losses, and most importantly, that 3-step strategy will give you a roadmap to follow. You'll finally get some confidence every day when you trade each day. It's perfect for someone who's trying to make a transition into jumping into full-time trading. So grab that link. That way, the next time I say deep pullback into two try failure, right, you'll know exactly what the criteria is for that, and you'll know how to trade it. So again, what if we keep going higher? Nothing changes. Shallow pullback trap, modest pullback failure, deep pullback, two try failure. Now, that's the fun part. That's the easy part. How do we sell this market right now, right? Buying it is kind of easy at this point. We're buying pullbacks. How do we sell it? There's a couple ways we can short this. I like the idea of well, you know what? Let's talk about that in the S&P, shall we? Let's grab the S&P next. We covered the long side here in the Nasdaq, right? Let's cover the short side now here on the S&P. The S&P, of course, is very similar, right? It's almost identical. We've got three basic key components here right now. We get that long-term bear bias. Again, look at a daily chart. Look at a 60-minute chart. Look at a 4-hour chart, right? We're overall bearish right now. Second thing here is a strong move higher. Anytime we see a strong move higher, we expect that retest, right, on that pullback. And again, be aware, you probably will get notifications of contract rollover for tomorrow. It's probably not going to be tomorrow. It'll probably be on Friday. We talked about the buy side here on the Nasdaq. How do we sell it? There are really kind of, let's see here. There are probably 4 different ways I can sell this market right now. Are you ready? Okay. The one, let's talk about the retest first. There's a bunch of ways we can short this. First one is, let's say we get that pullback and we go back and retest the high, right? So now we're buying that pullback. We're using that two try failure we talked about earlier, right? We're buying that pullback and we go back and mission accomplished, we retest the high. Once we retest the high now I know all the smart money, right? They're buying low. All the weak hands, all the rookies, all the inexperienced traders, they're going to be suckered into chasing this move higher. And I'm glad they are, because that's exactly where the money is made on a double top reversal. Strong move up for the buyers, buy that deep pullback, take profit at that high, and then this is where we rope in those weak hands. We use that same two try failure. Let those buyers try once, let them try twice. Once those buyers now commit, again, these are not the professionals. These are not the smart money in the markets. These are not the pros, right? They're buying nice and low, right? These are the weak hands up here. Once those buyers commit a couple times, think about now where their pain is, right? Think about where their stops are, and I want to sell right into those stop losses. Now, at that point, remember, this is a long-term bear market. This could be the beginning of the end of this bull rally. Once those buyers get stopped out and the market starts to take off to the downside now we trade the turn, as we say in our trade room. We get the short off the high. We're going to now go out, draw a trend line off those lower lows. Find a channel by marking it up at the high, and then repeat after me. The first test is the best test. I always like to drill down, find a prior swing, and look for the first touch of that new channel with a trap set up. I'm obviously simplifying this right now. Could be a trap, could be a failure pattern, could be a pullback combination. Same entry patterns we talk about in that free trading class. And again, if you didn't grab it yet, grab that link in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll learn what these trade setups actually look like, the stuff we use every day in our trade room. I really, really like that for a reversal. We call these double top reversals for obvious reasons, right? You can buy the pullback, take the profit, trap in those weak hands, and then as the market rolls over, we look for that add-on or that re-entry. And then where do you think these bears want to go at that point? They're going to want to take this all the way back down 3,900, 3,890, all the way back down to those big lows we found ourselves in last night's video newsletter. So we now have the double top reversal off the high here. What if we don't get a retest? Okay, now here's a second pattern to shore off the high. This is a little more aggressive, so be careful with this one. I want to wait for those buyers to come in and try once. I want to pull back and see them try twice. Once those buyers now try twice, now keep in mind, notice how large I'm drawing this pattern setup. Remember one thing we talked about this last week. Anytime we see, the stronger the move that you're trying to reverse, the bigger this pattern needs to be. Okay? The stronger the momentum that you're trying to reverse, the bigger this pattern needs to be. It's called a crown reversal pattern. It's very similar to a two-try failure. Buyers try once to go higher. They don't get it done. They pull back, lower low in price. Remember I said sellers want to see higher highs? This is where buyers want to see lower lows. Buyers want to buy low. They try once, they try twice. Once they get that trap above that high, we call these crown reversals. Buyers once, buyers twice. Remember, really wide. Okay, this is not going to set up in an hour, right? This will set up over a couple hours overnight into tomorrow morning. As the market pulls back, buyers try once, they pull it back, they try a second time now, and you see all kinds of bears come in and grab that trap for that crown reversal. And then remember, if the market dumps off that high like that, and starts to run lower, what do? You now go look left, find new channels off that low, bring it up around that high. Think about those prior swings like I mentioned, and do not miss that first pullback, right? That first pullback off that channel. It could be a trap setup. It could be a failure setup. It could be a pullback combination. Traps above prior swings, failures above the moving average, and of course that first pullback off the EMA as it goes lower, looking to take out that low. Keep your eyes on that. Keep your eyes on that crown reversal into trade the turn, find that new channel, and dump it right back down again. So now we've talked about the pullback, right? Failing or retesting and going lower. How do I sell this thing? How do I sell this thing if it just takes off the downside? Like I mentioned earlier in the intro, it's an overall bear market. This could be nothing more than walking those buyers right into, the bulls are being led right into slaughter. It could easily be, right? Could easily be. So what if the market takes off the downside here, right? What if we get that deep pullback, the bears try once, twice? What if we don't get that failure? Right? What if it keeps on going lower? Here are three ways to think about how to trade this thing if this thing just dumps overnight. The first one, and the most common one in these kind of V-tops, is what I call a pop and grind reversal. In other words, it'll pop down, and then instead of seeing bears come in and failing, what happens is it begins to grind and grind and grind. Whenever you see a pop lower and a grind down like this, what will happen is it'll separate off that moving average, and it will be very misleading because it's very slow. It'll be sluggish. It won't pull back very far to the moving average. That's the giveaway for a pop and grind. Once you have that grind down, it basically tells us the buyers have walked away from this. Draw a nice tight trend line off those lows, bring it up around that high. And again, I like to go out and go looking for prior swings because that's usually where the best entries are going to be. Get me above a prior swing, get me above the moving average, get me below the EMA for a pullback. Right now, here's a really easy way to find the exit on this. The size of that first leg is almost always the size of that third leg. Okay, so right now, we obviously have to wait to see what we get on this, but if I get that strong move down, measure that leg, and then once you get that first pullback off the top of that channel, that measuring leg is what you want to use to fine-tune your exit. right? And again, it doesn't matter what entry pattern we get. It could be a trap, it could be a failure, it could be a pullback combo. Again, the same stuff you guys learn in our free trading course. We'll be looking for those tomorrow morning in our trade room. First leg, right, and third leg is the objective there. How about a 1, 2, 3 reversal? Okay, these are less common in these situations, but keep an eye on this. We pull back now, right? Nice deep pullback. The bears come in, they try to sell short, and they are successful, and they blast this thing running lower. You can see this is a very different example than the pop and grind, right? The pop and grind goes lower and grinds down, right? This one actually pulls back to the moving average, and then the bears come in and just crush it, right? They run this thing going lower. That strong jump off that moving average, that's the giveaway. This now is a bear market. They're trying to retest those lows. Again, overall bear trend. It's easy to assume this could happen tomorrow. I'm going to mark off that low. I'm going to mark off that high. And again, we'll drill down, find our entries off the high of that channel. Could be any of the entry patterns we've talked about so far here this evening on this video. And don't forget, first leg, third leg will give you a very accurate exit right on that move going lower. So now we've got those two reversals. One more thing I would kind of remind you about here for tomorrow. If we were to pull back, if the bears come in and they really rip this thing lower, right? So if we come in tomorrow, and again, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen right now, but who knows? We have a lot going on in this world right now. It's a crisis of everything right now. So who knows? This could easily rip and run back down. What you always want to remember is if you come in tomorrow morning and you see a really, really big move down, you've got to think this will be priced to be too low to sell. Okay, you're going to see an example of this on the oil in a moment because the oil is in a great example of this right now. Oil made a big move down. We don't want to chase it, right? Ideally, I want to get short on the way lower, but if we come in tomorrow morning, or for some reason, if you can't get in on the way down, what you want to do now is think about this price now. Okay, we're probably a little bit too low to want to sell down here. In those situations, what you do is find a bigger channel. Okay, go out to a bigger anchor, find a bigger channel, and then wait for that really deep pullback. How deep? Right when that little voice in your head says, oh my goodness, maybe they've reversed it. Once that little voice in your head says, oh my goodness, it's a pulling back, maybe they want to go back to retest the high again, bingo, that is usually when it's time to look for that short. The point I want to make on this, the key takeaway on this is if we do get that reversal, and we can find our entry on this relatively early, right? We're not getting crushed and running lower here overnight. But, right, that looks good. But if this thing pulls back and really blasts and goes overnight, right, we're not selling way down here. At this point now, we widen out that channel, find a bigger channel. The key here is getting just above the moving average. Wait for that pop up. Wait for the buyers to think that deep pullback is a reversal. Once they commit, think about it. Strong move down. Anytime we see a strong move, we expect what? A pullback and a retest of that low. Once those buyers commit, you got them right where you want them and just simply sell right into those stops. Target, of course, is back down to retest the low. That's a really easy way to think about it, right? So if it really takes off the downside, don't chase it. Okay, put yourself in other shoes. Put yourself in the shoes of other sellers. Would you want to sell way down here? Probably not, right? Too low to sell. We want to sell high. The trick on this is finding those bigger channels, right? Widen out those channels, and then also, too, not letting that deep pullback fool you into thinking it's a reversal. Right? Let the rookies do that. You can sell then into those stop losses. All right, guys? So far, so good. What do you think? Am I on the right track on this? Do you like the analysis? Do you disagree with me on this? I would love to know what your thoughts are. All right, leave me a comment there in the comment section. I would love to know what you agree with, what you disagree with. Feel free to post some screenshots. I would love to hear your ideas on these E-minis and the Nasdaq as well. How about some oil? Let's wrap things up here tonight on the crude oil. We've covered the buy side. We covered the sell side on the S&P and the Nasdaq here. How about some oil? There are really, for the most part, there are three key, or should I say, right, two key insights here right now on oil. One, we are in overall bear market right now, right? So we are going right along with the bears here. Short-term bearish, long-term bearish right now. And of course, we have a very large move down here on the oil. Anytime we see a really big move, we just talked about this on the Nasdaq and the S&P. Anytime we see a real strong move, what do we expect? A pullback and a retest of that low. Anytime we see a real big move, this is a big move, right? Almost $7 move here on the oil. Anytime we see a real big move, what do we look for? We look for a deep pullback. How deep? Right to the point where that little voice in your head says, oh my goodness, maybe they've reversed it. Right when you start thinking it's reversal, that's when it's time to be a seller. Okay, we got to think right now that people are going to come in tomorrow. They're going to see this, and they're going to think this market is too low to sell. We want to wait for that deep pullback. So let's talk about this now, how to make some money on this. What you want to think about here is you want to get this thing up off the low, sell it back down, and then potentially here, look for that double bottom reversal back up from there. We'll see how that plays out here for tomorrow. There were three types of pullbacks we talked about on the S&P and the Nasdaq. Do you recall what they were? Shallow pullback trap, modest pullback failure, deep pullback, two-try failure. Okay, watch that prior low right there. Right, that 83 or 82.99, that would pretty much be the bare minimum as far as I'm concerned to make sure we're not selling too low here. Now, at this point now, I'd like to get this thing up around the high of that channel. Right? So until we get to the top of that channel, anything is a relatively shallow pullback. How do you deal with a shallow pullback in a large move down? You have to sell as high as you can, and the only way to do that is with a trap setup, right? We talked about how to buy as low as possible with a trap on that NASDAQ chart to begin here this evening. That's the way you want to sell it if we don't get that really deep pullback. And this could easily happen, guys. I mean, it could easily happen. The price of oil made a big move down today. They talked about, I think we heard from the UK this afternoon. The UK is opening up, I think, a dozen or so new drilling and fracking licenses or leases, permits, whatever, right, to increase their domestic oil production. So we're definitely seeing a lot of countries in Europe right now looking at the situation they've got themselves in Russia and saying, okay, we have to produce more oil domestically. We're going to hear more about that likely next few weeks here ahead of the winter time, kind of cool off. And so we may see this thing continue going lower. That trap, of course, is the best way because now I can still get a good risk-reward ratio without having to sell right into those lows. Two-try trap on a shallow pullback. What we hope we get, though, is a little bit of a deeper pullback here, right? Get above that moving average, trap in some of those buyers, get those buyers to come in and foolishly try to buy this thing. Strong move down, they want to retest that low. Once those buyers come in and try, we know exactly where their stops are. Think about where their pain is. Think about where their exits are. If you're caught long and you get stopped out, you instantly become a seller, and that's why these failure patterns work so well. Take them with the trend, trap in the opposite side of the market, look for that failure, and then as it rolls over, grab that pullback. And again, you want that pullback. You want that pullback well ahead of the retest of that low. Okay, you don't want to be selling that pullback follow-up right into that low. I always tell my students, make sure that pullback setup is above the halfway point off of that pullback. Right, makes sense? Because at that point now, your risk to reward is balanced. So once you know how deep that pullback is, then you can kind of measure where that halfway point is. And I prefer to get those pullback entries before we get below that halfway point. That way your risk reward is balanced and it's still a very desirable trade for any of the smart money in the markets, right? If I sell way down here, Now my risk is like this, right? My reward is like that. Makes sense? It's not going to be a very desirable trade, and therefore it will not be a very reliable trade because of the self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, what we really want to get here today or tomorrow is a nice deep pullback. I'd like to get up around this area right here, right? That was a strong move down, shallow pullback, lower low in price. I think the best possible entries here are be right above that 84.42 area. Now that will be a pretty deep pullback at that point. What do we do in those situations? We have to expect now the buyers are going to give it a good try to go higher. Let them try twice. Try once, try twice at a low, remember, lower lows, right? Why? Because buyers want to buy low. Once those buyers now come in and try twice now, where are their exits? Think about where their pain is and sell right into those stop losses. As those stops get triggered now, the market will oftentimes really rip and run lower. And that's why I always say, after you get those really deep pullbacks, look for a trap entry to make sure you're not selling too close to that low, right? Make sense again? Traps are great whenever you're worried about selling right into that low. We want to sell high, and traps give us basically the best shot at selling high. A deep pullback is that two-try failure, and then again, we'll look for that trap setup as we go. Don't be afraid to grab some channels off that low, off that high. It's not required. It's not required at that point, but it sure as heck wouldn't hurt. Two-try failure into that trap as we go. And then think about it too. If we get that pullback, they retest that low now. How do I buy off the low? Right? At this point now, the bears come in, they sell off the high, they take their profit off at that low. How do we buy it now? We buy it by using those sellers and their stop losses to trigger that squeeze going higher. Mission accomplished. Strong move down, they retest the low. The smart money is selling high. Right? The weak hands now come in. They don't know how to read a chart yet. They don't know about risk-reward ratio and making a more reliable trade by getting a good risk-reward ratio. We let them try once. We let them try twice. We know where their stops are, and we can buy right into those stop losses. An easy target for that two-try failure, that double bottom reversal, is right back up to retest that high. Got to be careful, though, buying it from there because, again, we are a overall bear market, right? It's not like the S&P and the Nasdaq, where the S&P and the Nasdaq, we go up, we double top, and collapse back down because we are an overall bear market. You can't really expect this thing to go that much further unless something really changes for tomorrow. So watch that pull back, sell into that top, right, in the pullback, take that profit, trap in those bears, right, and punch it into those stops for a rally back up to the high of that pullback. What if we keep going lower? If we keep going lower, nothing changes, right? Nothing changes. We got big levels below us around 80. I've got 79.60, right, to be exact there. 80 is a big round number. And really at this point, assuming nothing changes here, I've got 75.60, $75 a barrel. Looks pretty likely here. Again, there's a lot of things going on right now in this world. So, all things equal, if nothing changes, it does look like 75 is in the cards here within the next couple of weeks here. But hey, again, the world we live in right now is pretty active right now. Things can definitely change on that. If we do keep going lower, though, nothing changes, right? Shallow pullback trap, modest pullback failure, right? Deep pullback to try, right, into that move back down. And then again, 1, 2, buy it back up. Is that making sense? Is that making sense? Can I get a hell yeah in the comment section? If you're watching this video right now, 35 minutes into this video, you are the person I make these videos for, right? You are the person working hard, watching these lessons. If you're enjoying it, hit that like button. Give me a hell yeah in the comment section. It's great to have you here watching right along with me. Also, don't forget too, right? If we were to pop up, pull back to the moving average, and the buyers come in and blast, right, and jump off that EMA. What is that? That's a 1, 2, 3 reversal. Okay, we talked about this in the opposite direction on the E-minis. At that point, for whatever reason, the buyers are back in control. They'll be hunting for that high at 88 even. Mark up that high, mark off that low, right? First test is the best test. Grab that trap, grab that seller failure into that pullback combo, first leg, third leg, right? That will give you an easy target. Or maybe we pop up, right? Buyers try once, buyers try twice. They don't fail and go lower, right? We pop up now, we sort of grind. We pop, we grind, we pop and we grind, right? Something will happen at that point. Okay, the news headlines will confirm this for us tomorrow. If it pops up and starts to grind higher, again, they're going to go back to retest that high here. Now it's a matter of draw that trend line tight off the highs, bring it down off that low. See how I draw that? And then again, look left, find prior swings, get under prior swings, get underneath the 21 moving average, trap in those bears, right? And use all of that momentum now to go back and retest that high, okay? This could easily turn around. This could easily turn bullish here. That's the reason why I go over all of these different scenarios. That way, no matter what we get tomorrow, you are ready with a game plan, not only to make some money, but also avoid losses, right? That's half the battle, is knowing what you don't want to take tomorrow as well. All right, pretty good plan of attack here now on the crude oil. I'm pretty excited for tomorrow. Tomorrow could be one of the best days of the week here. The game plan is ready. Now all we need to do is see if this market opens up overnight. Tomorrow morning, don't forget, 8 o'clock Eastern time, we'll be in our trade room with all of our advanced members. Guys, if you're looking for a great place to learn and trade along, if you're missing too many good trades, or maybe you're making too many mental mistake losses right now, our trade room is designed for new traders, experienced traders. I have all the indicators, all the worksheets, the entire game plan is ready for you. All I'm waiting for is you. What I would do first is take the free classes first, right? Grab the free course first, learn the basic strategy principles, get that, right? Get that momentum behind you, and then that way be ready to go for trading with us soon here as a new student in our trade room. Don't be afraid to call the office. If you guys have any questions, call me in the office. I know I go quickly on these videos, but I can easily slow it down. We can cover more questions on the telephone, or you can always use live chat on the website as well. All right, guys, hope you learned a bunch here this evening. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Give me some comments in the comments section. I'd love to know what you guys think of the lesson tonight, whether you agree, maybe disagree, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time in our trade room. If not, we'll do it tomorrow night as we get ready for Big Friday trading session. Guys, my name is Joseph. Thanks for watching tonight. Get out of here. Enjoy the evening. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Be well. Be nice to each other. And be here next time, will ya? Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.